British police have now charged 9 of the 12 men arrested in a series of terror raids last week. The suspects are accused of conspiring to set off bombs in the UK. Several European nations are on high alert for terror attacks this holiday season. So with New Year's celebrations coming up, are we doing enough to secure soft targets here in the U.S.? Well, joining us now is former State Department official Christian Whiton. Thank you for being with us.
Great to be here, Patty Ann.
First of all, today a package bomb was found at the Greek embassy in Rome. As you know, this is just 4 days after similar mail bombs exploded at the Swiss and Chilean embassies, and 2 people were injured. This latest device was defused. No one was injured. There were also, we should mention, false alarms at the Finnish and Albanian embassies. In the meantime, anarchists have claimed responsibility for Friday's bombing. So what do you make of all of these package bombs overseas?
Well, it is part of a spike of overall terrorist activity. You have these embassy mail bombings in Rome, but also, as you mentioned, arrests in London, recent arrests in the Netherlands. And not too long ago, a suicide bomber blowing himself up in Stockholm, Sweden. So part of an overall combination, a spike. But if you look at what happened in Rome, some procedures in place at those embassies did mitigate the damage. But one lesson to draw is that you can never harden every single terrorist or every single target from terrorist attack, that there are just so many potential targets. And if you look here in America, we can defend things like government buildings and airports with intense security measures. But do we want to harden every mall, every public square, every market? So it's important to be on the offensive against not only the terrorist group, but also the ideology that drives the terrorist groups.
Yeah, you mentioned the suicide bombing in Stockholm, Sweden. Several al-Qaeda-related websites after that made it clear that this was going to be the first of many holiday attacks. So how concerned should we be here in the United States in this week between Christmas and New Year's?
Well, I think it's important to be concerned but not panicked. George Bush, former president, was criticized roundly for saying, if you don't fight him over here, we'll fight him back here. And there's the risk that we may start seeing that as these terrorist groups go after easier targets like malls, reportedly some of the London defendants now, if I guess they would be called, were targeting Christmas shopping venues. So going on offensive, realizing that Rome is actually the odd man out in this because it might be motivated by anarchists, eco-terrorists, the left-wing groups in Italy, but the others, as usual, the common denominator are Islamist terrorists. So going after these groups, having a forward-leaning strategy to attack not just the groups once they become active terrorists, and not just the Islamist insurgencies in places like Afghanistan and formerly in Iraq, but going after the ideology that motivates them and being on the offensive. It's much better to be there than to be on the defensive.
Right. So rather than focusing, obviously we have to focus on securing the soft targets, but you feel the very strong focus should be on getting back to the root of it. That being said, what do you think of this proposal that is rolling around in Congress to investigate the radicalization of Muslims here in the U.S.?
I think it's very important. It's been put forward by Representative King of New York. There is a potential nexus between Islamism, which is the ideology that seeks to unify mosque and state and place us all under sort of an Iranian-style tyranny here. And there have, of course, been inroads made by those groups here, but most of it does stem from the broader Middle East, from places like Egypt, from ventures funded by Saudi and other money like that. So it is important to look at any of its activities in the U.S., any linkages to U.S. groups, but fighting this abroad in the same way we fought the communist ideology in the Cold War or Nazism and fascism, not just the manifestations of that, such as the armies that it put forth, but also the ideology itself. Ultimately, if we want to win this war going into year number 10, that's, I think, what it's going to take.
All right. Former State Department official Christian Whiton, thank you.